Woo. Here, get it together. Baby, calm down, calm down. Calm down, calm down. Calm down, calm down. Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday, depending on where you are in the world. Happy Sunday. Welcome to your weekly horoscope for the week of July 18th, 2022. Busy week, rolling in Leo season this week, which is absolutely exciting. Listen, Leos, I know. Everybody. Oh, what are we doing? We're getting an echo, which I know people have been waiting for Leo season to roll in, most particularly the Leo fandom, right? It's so funny because every year, I'm telling you, every year we get right about the end of Taurus season, right? Think about this, Taurus season, and slowly I start to see an increase in interest in Leo season. And I'm like, wait, friends, we've still got to get through Gemini and Cancer season. But this big cat energy starts to kind of present itself. And it makes a lot of sense, right? Taurus is another fixed energy. So it's like fixed, game recognizes game, right? A fixed energy and a fixed energy recognize each other. But definitely by the time we have arrived at the end of Gemini season, I know the next 4 weeks, I'm going to start seeing Leo memes pop up, and we're going to be getting ready for Leo season well before it comes. And I absolutely love that about the Leo team. So we're going to welcome in Leo season this week, which is absolutely brilliant. Now we've got several other transits and movements that are happening this week that I think are absolutely profound. And we need to make sure that we get in here and we are talking about those things as well. Now, before we jump in and we start talking about what's going on in our weekly weather, our weekly Cosmo check, couple things. So first and foremost, this week, we are actually going to have the unlikely astrologer, who is Gordon Mullins, coming back to do a Q&A and extend a little bit on his introduction to planets class that he taught for the YouTube Academy last year. So if you haven't had an opportunity to go back and watch the introduction to planets class, first of all, it is profound because he took us beyond just keywords of the planets. I mean, Gordon took us into the planets, and Gordon himself is a Leo, and he is a Leo who, I just have to tell you, as another human being, is this big, beautiful energy. And there's a vulnerability to the way he teaches and to what he brought to the academy and what he brings to the astrological sphere. So if you have not had a chance to check that out, pop in over there and check that out. Okay. So here is the other thing. I am pumped. I have been waiting several months to invite you guys, but I am actually partnering up with Deborah Silverman, who is another astrologer and a colleague and a friend of mine, and we're both in Colorado, but I am partnering up for her. We're going to do a 10-day deep dive free immersion into astrology, looking at some of these like subconscious gremlins that we run into, the stuff that says you're not good enough, the stuff that says it's always going to be this way, it's never going to work out, other blocks that we find that are set up in our way. Now, so many of us have got different identities going on than we did even a couple years ago. We've seen situations in our life change. All of this stuff is different. We've got Chiron going into retrograde in Aries this week, right? There's a lot to be re-looking at and reacquainting ourselves. Also, depending on which element is primary in your chart, you can look around right now and see if you're out of whack with it, right? If you're one of the air energies, are you running around, you're using more of your intellect than your intuition? Are you distracted? Are you being really talkative and not listening as well, right? Air energies out of whack start to act like that. Earth energies, are you too earthbound right now? Are you seeing some of that crop up in your life? Because these are absolute symptoms of things that are going on with you. right? Water energies. Oh, it's a watery day. We're in a watery, what? Watery? A watery weekend as it is, right? But for our water energies, are you seeing yourself being too much in the emotion? Are you feeling too grounded? Are you a mix between water and work and you're being like a workaholic or a worryaholic right now? Fire energies, do you feel like you are burning out? Are you at a burnout rate, right? This is a fantastic time to join in community. Not to mention, for me, I try to be very choosy about partnerships or affiliations that I bring to you guys. Being in the Stormie Grace space, I got to really think that this person or this offer has something good for you guys to benefit from. So hopefully you'll find it interesting and you maybe are feeling called to it. It is free. It's financially free, right? Nothing's ever free anymore, right? Like it's just not free, but it is financially free. But I also think it's going to be a really nice in-depth 10 days. I'll put the link in the description box after we're done with the live reading this week. One other thing before we get started, you guys could just send some good energy this way. My Dieffenbachia plant right here is on the struggle bus and it's getting a major pruning just after this video. So if you guys can just send it some love. Pruning is good for us. It has to happen. It's all a part of the circle of life. But my plant's on the struggle bus a little bit, okay? All right, send some good energy to the plant, okay? All right, shall we get in here, beautiful friends? I'm trying to keep an eye on you in the chat as well, but let's get in here and talk about what is on our table and on our calendar this week as we're coming in for July 18th. Now, tomorrow, as we move into the Monday energy, we are coming up with an aspect that can be a little bit rougher. So we're going to discuss it in its entirety. So the day brings us into Mercury in an opposition to Pluto. Okay, now keep in mind, Pluto is in its retrograde right now. So we've got a forward and direct Mercury, our thinking, our speaking, our decision-making capabilities in this opposition with Pluto, who's retrograde. So it's looking backwards. Okay. Now it's not an easy aspect necessarily. Okay. If you have this particular aspect in your chart, you may know that you have or have experienced or have a capacity to really experience this internal struggle between what you're thinking about and maybe how to express that in an outer way, right? So you maybe have that, or maybe it's like you're too serious and people take what you're saying as just really, really serious. If you've got that aspect, let me know in the comment section down below, because sometimes it can come off, really, really intense. But as we're in a collective looking at this Mercury opposition to Pluto retrograde, one of the things is keep in mind the battle of the mind or the battle of the wills that may be playing out about something you were looking at from the past, right? Doesn't it sound like a great time for an immersion? Because you're like, gosh, I've been thinking about this for a while and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it, and I can't quite get there. So it's like we needed a forward-based Mercury to be moving and to be bringing us clear information to look at this Pluto, which has been trying to change and destruct something so that it can transform, but we couldn't see it that way. So in a negative, or I don't even want to say negative, in a different vibration, what you can see is we feel stressed. We feel under pressure to make a decision. We feel like we are in, like, there's just this super mental buildup, which can be like mental, emotional constipation. And then we take actions that are really underhanded, right? Or we see people, Pluto is still one of our outer planets. So we could see people in the world. We're starting to find out about more of their underhanded tactics in our lives, right? There's a real ease with trying to intimidate or threaten the source that we feel like is making us feel threatened, right? I feel threatened by change. Now, keep this in mind, most of us showing up to the broadcast and listening back to this are not going to go out and threaten our neighbors. Okay. That is likely not something that's going on. But also I would ask you to think about yourself. What are the threats you're making to yourself? We're going to lose this weight, or we're going to get this debt down, or we're going to do this, or do you have, underhanded tactics or mind control that you're playing with yourself over there? Because this is also a great time to look at this particular opposition and how it's showing up, because it is just going to, whatever you do, you can take actions that make you feel really good right now, but it doesn't have a long-term effect. Okay. So this is the shadow side of this Mercury Pluto opposition that can show itself on Monday. Now, though, opposition, every aspect in the chart wants to integrate. It wants to have a conversation. So when we get an opposition, we've got two things pulling apart. How do we get those things to integrate? We have to find the sweet spot in the middle. So research, investigate, uncover, discover, discard. What is Pluto showing you? Pluto is vibrating at 27 degrees of Capricorn right now. Where is that in your chart? What is happening? What have you been working on? What have you been seeing? Whether you like it, you don't like it, it's comfortable, it's uncomfortable. What is that? And then you integrate that with new information that Mercury is bringing in. And that is how you make very, very good use of this opposition with Mercury and Pluto, because then you're able to see the past. You're able to see transition, transformation, power dynamics, authority from a different lens. Okay. Now, as we get to the end of the day, we're going to see, not the end of the day, as we get into the beginning of the day, and then we travel through that opposition and we keep traveling throughout the rest of the day, we're going to see the moon move into the energy of Aries. I feel like this is nothing but useful for us. Okay, because the moon moving into the energy of Aries brings remember, Aries is that fire energy. And it's not fire like, oh, this puts a little light in my life. No, that is not what the Aries fire sign is about. Aries is the fire sign that says, I have a damn right to exist, right? No, it is I'm doing this. It's the survival. It's that big survival warrior, but I have a space, I have a presence kind of energy, right? Remember, it gets our ass out of bed in the morning. That is fire energy. And that is Aries fire energy. Not to mention there's a nice connection with Jupiter, right? Because Jupiter is also traveling through the energy of Aries. So it's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit bigger as we're traveling through Monday. And I love this when we're thinking about this Mercury-Pluto opposition. So it becomes this question of what is standing in your way, or what is it that is blocking you from using your power, going in a particular direction, feeling assured, feeling confident about something that you're doing. Now, also, friends, if you are out there and you are living your best life, you feel like you are in an alignment that you have not been in a long time, or you feel like you're grounded in your power, people can come into your space and they need your wisdom around how to step into their own, Aries energy, maybe how to take initiative and start something. And you may be the one who's carrying that gift that there is to offer to them that day. So think about that. And as we travel with this moon and this Aries energy, be your fire. What is your fire? What do you want to survive and be a part of? Right? I feel like that's a very good vibration. Okay. All right. As we roll around and we get to the end of the day and we move into Tuesday, what have we got here? We have got, I love this for us. Okay. We're going to have Mercury entering into the energy of Leo. Mercury carrying the flag into the energy of Leo, being that flag bearer, saying, listen mind, listen communication, listen world of vibration. The sun's coming, right? So Mercury goes ahead of the sun into the energy of Leo, makes way, makes space, but our communication center becomes very fire. Now we've got the moon in fire. We've got Mercury over here in fire. Soon we're going to welcome the sun into fire. So Mercury in Leo, big cat conversation comes to the table. And what I love about this is that this is your time. This is why I say it with your chest out season, right? Moon and Aries over there, Mercury and Leo, say it with your chest out. Stop holding your breath. Stop holding your tongue, right? Be confident. in what you're saying, in what you need to deliver, in the contracts that you're making, the negotiations that you need to sign, whatever it is, own it. Say it with your chest out. It's big cat speaking season. Now, other things about Mercury in the energy of Leo is it's such a heart-centered energy. It's so heart-centered. I mean, I feel like this is one of those seasons where the head and the heart actually are able to come into this really neat alignment. And this is like the longest distance sometimes, you know what I mean? So head, heart come together and they come out of this beautiful mouth, or they come out of our pin, or, you know, we make these big announcements or these big proclamations of what's going on, but it's really coming from a heart-centered place. And even more evolved is when it comes from a heart-centered place is generous, and the wealth that we create from our communication and our decisions also benefits others, right? Like that's real wealth. When you take an action, when you take on a project and others benefit from your wealth, and that's usually wealth that you're going to be able to keep as well, whether it's wisdom wealth or financial wealth or whatever it is. When we make decisions like that, it becomes this generous, big, bold Leo energy. Now, questions I would ask you to think about as Mercury is traveling through Leo. So we'll have it here until what month are we in? July, August 4th. Okay. Is what is on your heart right now? What is on your heart? What are you thinking about? What are you craving? Where's the level of joy in your life, my friends? When is the last time you played? Like, when is the last time you just played? Whether you played by yourself, you played with your kids, you played with your spouse. When's the last time you played at work, right? When is the last time you went to a place that you just thought was profoundly beautiful and made you feel big, right? Whatever that is, these are the heart-based Leo questions that I would invite you to enjoy. Now, we've also got on this particular day, because it is a busy energetic day, we've got Chiron stationing retrograde in Aries. Okay, so this one I want to slow down and dig into a little bit, because Chiron is this little asteroid, but it's got big news, kind of like Pluto. So as Chiron takes its retrograde in the energy of Aries, first of all, it's not new, because we've seen Chiron working. The wounded healer has been working on the Aries areas of our chart for some time. So it's really these wounds to the identity, the wounds to our survival, the wounds to our right to be. Damn it, I get to be here. I have a spot here, right? Our wounds to starting things and what will people think of me, right? Runes of feeling directionless are things that Chiron has been working on as it's moved through Aries. And a lot of what happens when we deal with Chiron energy is, first of all, we acknowledge our own wounds there, right? We go, yeah, this is what's happening in the shaping of my identity right now. But in order to heal that Chiron wound, instead of just having it get reinfected over and over and over again, one of the things that we're called and asked to do with that is to help other people heal their wounds of a similar nature. And by giving it away, we receive a healing and therefore keep our wound in a state of healing instead of a state of decay. So, all the way until we get to December and we see Chiron in this retrograde, we are going back over what our identities have become. Who are we now? And it's retrograde sends us in, right? We go back in, we retro, we go back, we review, we re-edit, we reunion, we connect, right? So you're going back in and saying, who am I? Who am I? What am I doing? In what I've seen over this last year, how has my identity transformed? And am I happy with the direction of that particular identity? Am I happy with projects that I have initiated and that I've started and I have taken on? Do I feel profound and powerful and innovative in my relationships, right? Are there people around me struggling with their identity, and I'm able to let them know that I see them outside looking in, this is how I see them? You know, where are the areas where I acknowledge that I am keeping myself prisoner, right? In my circumstances, in my resources, in my insides, of patterns that I've had in my life, of where do I get to go back and look at that? Where do I acknowledge that if it's painful, it's important, right? Pain as a necessary agent for change. There is this wonderful video out on YouTube. I was watching it the other day, and it's talking about how when you learn to suffer, you suffer less. And I love that. So if you guys get a chance to look that video up, check that out. But I also think that this particular Chiron retrograde brings our attention staunchly it brings it staunchly to our attention, friends. That is for sure. Okay, so we've got that going on. We've got Mercury who's headed into the energy of Leo. Now we are also going to see, we got to see Mercury come into this nice opposition with Pluto the day before. We saw Mercury the weekend before come cazimi with the sun, right? They were dancing together, bringing new information to the table. But now later in the day on the 19th, we're going to see the sun and Pluto in their opposition. Now this can be, I feel like Sun Pluto can be where you're like, it's almost, I want to say a little bit of an identity crisis. It can bring a little bit of an identity crisis because you're like, I either have to be this or this. And it's like, well, let's lean into that Pluto. Remember, Pluto's been dying something off. It's transforming it in some way. It's been working on it for a while. Your structures, your idea of authority, your idea of feminine, masculine energy, your idea of resources, money, work, your job, your career, your legacy. That's been being tweaked and turned and tweaked and turned and dying off. Right. And now we've got the sun over here, which is our motivation, what I'm doing. I'm trying to be something, and it's opposing this Plutonian energy. So it's like, okay, whether it is a relationship that is challenging your motivation or challenging your identity, it feels like they're pulling in two different directions, right? Or, you know, are you presently in an understanding that something is an ineffective or a self-destructive behavior? It's something about your own undoing, and you're coming into contact with it. But the sun is burning really bright over here saying, I want to be, I want to be, I want to create, I want to have this. And this behavior is pulling me in a different direction. So what it can create in the Sun Pluto opposition is a breakdown of some variety that is needed. And it can be something that feels like it has spun out of your control, or it is a change that is out of your control that brings you to a place where you realize, oh, this had to break down so that I could come to the other side. Now, this is a lot just on Tuesday in reshaping the identity and patterns that we have, right? So this is a lot, but I want you to know this week, if it feels like something is kind of being thrust upon you as we get through Monday, Tuesday, it's a requirement for change. When we deal with Pluto, what comes and changes is a requirement for evolution, right? Like you can't go forward without it. Now, what happens when we don't lean into the sweet spot of the opposition, right? The two things pulling away from each other. What happens when we don't find the middle ground? Well, then we can see the shadow side of this opposition, which is an addiction, behaviors that are self-destructive, like mental breakdowns. These things can come. And you know what? It doesn't always look like something you go see on the internet, but you know, are your insides cached? Do you feel like when you go to bed at night, there's a pressure on your chest? Do you feel like when you get up in the morning, are you getting up in the morning being like, oh, it's morning? Or are you getting up in the morning being like, oh, it's morning? You know, like where are you at in your evolution of this? Because this is just bringing necessary transformation. And that is a lot for Tuesday. Let's be really, really, very honest. That is a whole bunch, just a whole bunch for Tuesday. Just remember though, you this is the butterfly energy, you guys. That next piece of you which if evolution takes time, that next piece of you is coming through. Okay, let's get into Wednesday. Now, as we roll to Wednesday, which is the 20th, we are going to see the moon move beautifully here into the energy of Taurus. And who doesn't want some of that? We need a little bit of grounding after all of this change, right? Like this, like, we got the sun in the last couple days of this Cancerian energy, getting us deep into those emotions, bringing us back to home, right? And this is our first home, moon over in Aries, and then it peels into the energy of Taurus, where the sun and the moon sit in a delicious sextile to each other quite comfortably, okay? So as the moon is traveling through this Tauran energy, yes, Uranus is over there, but innovation to the emotions is what I would like to call that. And that is, I'd like to bring your attention to, right? Yes, Uranus is creating an electricity in the energy of Taurus. It's also traveling here really close to Mars and to the nodes. So we are really in the space of destiny. Like you had to see it. You had to have this breakdown. It has to happen right now for you to meet your next destiny, right? That is what we're moving into position to. And the moon in Taurus says, okay, I'm grounded. I'm energetic. I'm persistent. I am not going to fight my way through my life like a paper bag. I'm going to take the choke hold off of my life, get my claw prints out of my life. And I'm going to relax and ease into the transformation of this process. I'm going to root down, Taurus, and hold tight into the changes that are coming because I understand that they're built just for me. So that is going to be, let's just say thank you to that Taurus energy, right? Thank you, Taurus energy. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of a deep breath and travel with that Taurus energy as we get here through Thursday and then Friday. Do I even need to say it? I do. Happy birthday, Leo. Happy birthday, Leo. The 22nd brings us with the sun moving into the energy of Leo. So happy birthday, Leos. For the rest of us that are not Leos, right? We're not officially sun in Leo people. I just want to say happy Leo season to you. We are moving from this initiating energy where we initiated in Cancer, new, fresh emotional ventures, new, fresh emotional health and standards that we're grounding into. And now we're going to come into the fixed energy of Leo with the moon, our emotions also grounded into a fixed sign where we're going to root down and grow for a minute. And we're going to bring joy to the evolutionary experience that we are happening. Now we're going to have the sun in this Leo territory all the way until August 22nd. So for the next 4 weeks, first of all, where does Leo sit in your chart? What house does this govern for you? You guys ask me all the time, and people in general ask me all the time if I am a Leo, and I'm not. Leo actually lives in my 12th house, so it's supposed to be this like quiet part of my chart, but I don't even feel like that happens. I just always have an outfit. Anyway, so with the sun in Leo for the next 4 weeks, remember, this is fire. We're back in fire season. Burn off all of the emotion. We got to stop crying about it. Now we got to be about it, right? So this is that fire energy, and it's the individual energy. It's like, I do, I am, I produce, I create, I have joy. It is not it's this fifth house, like love out loud, big cat energy. I love my life, right? What do they say? Abraham Hicks talks about this. Talk about what's going right in your life. Talk about where the joy is at in your life, right? We know the struggle. We come here, we meet together, we meet in our communities out there, and we process with each other the struggle so that we can find our way through it. But show up to somebody and just start telling them all the good stuff. So, right? Tell them the good. I'm so excited. I have got this Dracaena plant who's going to get a little chopping today, but we're going to be so much healthier on the other side. And this plant trusts me. This is my plant, you guys. It trusts me, and I am joyful about that. So what is grand? What is joyful in your life? When's the last time you took a really grand, joyful gesture to show somebody that you loved them? Right? When's the last time you did that? If you're in a partnership of any variety that has been feeling a little mundane, when is the last time you brought somebody a really big chicken and you're like, I love you, here's a chicken? That's a very Taurus gift. Maybe you brought them a coffee, or you bring them a tea or flowers just to brighten up the space. Be grand. Okay, it is Leo season, so be grand, live with your big cat energy. That is really what this season is about bringing around, okay? But also, fire signs give off leadership energy. So, with all of the things that we've seen around identity and we're going to continue to experience, remember we're in a high retrograde period as we're coming into this week, and the energy is going to continue to increase because we're going to have more planets go retrograde. Where do you need to take leadership of your own life? If I ask you today what your 5-year plan is, or if I ask you today about anything in your life, are you governing your life with leadership, right? Are you governing your life with leadership where you understand like some things are fated? Absolutely. Some things are destiny. Absolutely. But I also have the power to determine how I'm going to show up and participate in those particular things. I have the power to be that lotus, blossomed in the mud and choosing to share a little bit of joy, right? And share joy with people who want your joy, right? Right? Let that be something true. Okay, let's move into the weekend. So here we go. Oh, and we're also going to see Friday night that we have the moon moving into the energy of Gemini. Every time I want to do a live, I'm so afraid Amazon's going to come because now we've got Brody and Amazon going at it. So the moon moves into the energy of Gemini, so we become a little bit more communicative. Now we roll into Saturday, and we're going to see Mercury and Jupiter come into a trine with one another. So a trine it's symbolized by the triangle. It represents a pocket of ease, right? So it's a little bit easier. It also represents an energy where an opportunity is presented to us. But it's not just handed to you. You have to go to it. It's like it's put right outside of your front door, but you have to go to the opportunity. So as we're looking at Mercury and Jupiter in this trine, it's a success. I feel like this is an aspect of success, right? In some way, we understand Jupiter in Aries that by leadership, by extension and expansion of myself out, I am able to be successful. Where is my life goal? Where is my daily goal? Where is my 5-minute goal? By an extension and me stepping into the opportunity, right? Me not saying, well, I feel this way because my sister. No, you feel that way because of you, but your sister did provide you an awesome opportunity to work on that feeling, right? To experience that feeling. Then we're able to step into that. It's almost like real life education gives us that growing experience, right? And we're able to expand out and really take advantage of the opportunities out in the material world, right? Now, this is also an awesome aspect where if you are a teacher, you wanted to communicate something out, you make videos, anything you needed to do or that you wanted to do to be able to communicate or articulate a message, you have a lot of good energy to be able to work with that. Something else that I'm thinking about, because Jupiter is going to be getting ready for retrograde after not too long here. So, it's a pretty optimistic aspect. But one of the other things I was thinking of is planning. If you've got some plans you wanted to put in place or you wanted to initiate something. And I think about stuff like, yes, you can plan your content planner. Yes, you can plan your family's weekly menu. You can also plan things that are very Jupiterian. Do you want to go overseas? Do you want to establish yourself in a different faith, a different religion, a different belief path? Do you want to align yourself with a charity or something that you feel like helps the rights of people or helps people have their own success? Something like that. That's a really lovely energy here, but all of it at the base is going to come down to you going to something in order to actualize that experience of success. Now, other things that I love about Mercury and Jupiter is because they're both big mind, small mind. They are the space of language, right? So sharing experiences with each other, sharing conversation, learning languages. The sharing of language, whether it's body language, it's breath language, right? Because I have been in trainings, I have been in places in the world where I don't speak the same language as someone else, but we connect and we can unite in breath work, right? We can connect and unite in entering that space and agreement with each other. And it's really, really lovely. So anything that you wanted to do to connect and share experience there, if you needed to sign documents, anything like that, this is a really good energy to be able to do that with as well. Now, as we come to the end of the week and we get to the 24th, late in the day, quite late in the day on the 24th, we're going to see Venus come into a square with Jupiter. Now, these are both our these are both our benefic planets, okay? And really, even that sometimes I think in astrology can be a stretch, because if you get too much Venus or you get too much Jupiter, it's really uncomfortable, actually. Like, it's just too much of a good thing is essentially what happens. So either way, as we see these two squaring off with one another, I do think because it's a lot of goodness, it's a good idea to just go, okay, wait a minute. Am I out here living my best life or in a situation and truly there's too much good here? And so that, right, that may sound a little bit tricky to somebody, where it's like, how can there be too much good? Well, I got a lot of changing and transitioning going on, right? We all do. Am I eating a whole bunch of sugar? Am I hitting the vape pen a ton? Am I overtaking supplements? Am I sleeping too much? Am I taking any of the feel good overboard? Right? Because remember, this is a square, so we need to acknowledge that there are shadow energies that are available when we deal with a square. And what we can do is do too much. We can just be doing too much, okay? Now also watch, though, are you being too charming? I am a chart loaded with Venus. So I really work very hard to remind people not to be overcharmed, right? And Venus square Jupiter, you can be overcharmed, or someone is overcharming you and you miss quality information because you're so enamored in some way, right? So these are the shadow sides to that square. Or you're so excited, I'm connected to these new people, or I'm going back into a social situation, right? And there's a lot that can be happening. Just take care under this particular square not to miss the quality information and resources because you're seeing and feeling something else. Now, to a very, very positive side of this, I think that if troubles, conflict, tension, problem, whatever you want to call it, presents itself to you, you can take these two in aspect and really capitalize on the good portions of them, right? You know, a serious situation comes up, you have to step into your power, you have to be very responsible, and you're able to do it in a way that there's a little bit more harmony. You are able to take that care. You are able to, be more social, have it go a little bit easier. This can be something there, but I'm telling you, it can also just be too much of a good thing. I don't know how many times I've seen the energy present itself and you got to look around your life and get real honest, but it's like, my relationship's been a little bit weird. We start to get into watery territory, or we get a nice Venus Jupiter square, and then all of a sudden those donuts, that drug, that person as a drug, that affair start to look like really viable options, and we like can't see the the fallout of what comes from that one moment, right? Like we're just blinded. It doesn't have anything to do with being stupid or irresponsible. It has to do that we're literally blinded by the light of the backfire that's available from this particular set of energy. So, this is why we gather. We gather on the weekend together to have these conversations of how we can make the best use of the energies that are available based on our current manifestations in our lives, right? So hopefully, as we're rolling around through the weekend, particularly Sunday, Monday, you've got a little bit of a different perspective on some of the energies that are available and on the table for us to work with, okay? Beautiful friends, thank you for being here with me again this week. Thank you for all of your support on the channel. We'll be rolling into a new moon in the energy of Leo next week. And remember, if you want more in-depth conversation and also more conversation around the moons that are coming up, you can join me over on Patreon. Love to see you there. Love to see you here. We'll be back together on the 20th with Gordon Mullings here doing the question and answer for his introduction to planets class. I'll make sure the link gets below this video, as well as the transits for the week, so that you can jump in there and take advantage. I hope to see you on Wednesday. If you can't be there on Wednesday and you've got questions about planets, leave the question underneath Gordon's video, and we'll go back in and we're going to answer questions from there, as well as other questions that have come in. Sign up for the free 10-day immersion. That's going to be under this video in a few minutes as well. There is just some good deep healing available, information available with trained professionals bringing us into the astral realm. So I really look forward to connecting with you guys in that way with Deborah Silverman. So I love you guys a ton. Please, if you're watching this, like this video. It helps the channel. I really want to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, because it means our message and our community will be growing and connecting. Please like the video. And even if you don't like the video, thanks for watching. All right, my beautiful friends, I love you, and I will see you next week for the new moon in Leo.